Hello, everyone. Tonight we're diving deep into one of the most chilling mysteries in modern history. A place where time seems to stand still, and where the answers are buried beneath layers of forgotten secrets. This is the story of Willow Creek, a small town in the rolling hills of Pennsylvania, shrouded in an eerie silence. Before we dive into the story, I must warn you, this channel is not for everyone, only for those brave enough to uncover dark secrets. If you're ready to hear truths that will make you question everything you think you know about the world around you, hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications. Let us know where you're watching from, because this story could happen anywhere in the United States. Willow Creek, a town with a population of barely 2,000 people. From the outside, it looks like any other sleepy little town tucked away in a valley. The sort of place where everyone knows everyone, and the days pass quietly, with little disturbance. The streets are lined with ancient oak trees that have stood for centuries, their gnarled branches intertwining overhead to create a canopy that seems to block out the sun, making the town feel as if it's perpetually in the twilight. However, beneath this calm exterior lies a dark and unsettling truth. Willow Creek has been haunted by a series of mysterious disappearances, murders, really, that have plagued the town for decades. It's an open secret, yet no one ever seems to talk about it. The town's residents live in fear, casting nervous glances whenever the subject is broached, quickly changing the topic or retreating into their homes when asked about the victims. In fact, the local police have closed the case files. They've chalked it all up to bad luck or strange coincidence. But as you may know, those who live in fear rarely speak the truth, and the truth in Willow Creek remains buried. That's where you come in. You arrive in the town as a stranger. Your name isn't important, but your purpose is. You're determined to uncover what happened to these missing people, and in doing so, unravel the hidden horrors that have plagued Willow Creek. There's something about this place, the silence, the way it feels like the town is holding its breath, that draws you in. As you drive past the faded welcome sign and into the town square, you can't shake the feeling that you're not just visiting. You've been called here by forces beyond your understanding. The first thing you notice is the unsettling stillness. It's midday, but there's hardly a soul in sight. You park your car near the old diner, its neon sign flickering erratically in the dim light. A handful of elderly men sit on the worn wooden porch, sipping coffee from chipped mugs, their eyes barely glancing at you as you approach. The air smells of damp earth and old wood, the scent of a town that hasn't changed in years. But there's something off. The few people you do see don't seem to want to engage with you. Their gazes quickly shift away, as if they're trying to avoid looking at you directly. You walk into the diner, hoping for some answers. The bell above the door rings softly as you enter, and the waitress, middle-aged with a tired expression, looks up from behind the counter. Her name is June, and her eyes are dull, as if she's seen too much in her time. The kind of eyes that have witnessed things better left unseen. "Can I help you?" she asks, her voice quiet, almost too soft, as though she's afraid to speak too loudly in this town where whispers seem to carry for miles. You introduce yourself, explaining that you're here to investigate the recent disappearances. She doesn't react at first, but you can see the subtle shift in her demeanor, the way her shoulders tense, ever so slightly. You know then that you're not the first to come here with questions about Willow Creek's dark past. They've all been gone for so long, she says, her voice barely above a whisper. People just don't talk about it anymore. There's no point. They're gone, and they're not coming back. She wipes down the counter, eyes focused on the rag in her hands. But you won't let it go. You press her for details, asking about the victims, their families, the circumstances surrounding their disappearances. June sighs heavily, like she's been carrying a weight for years and can't bear to hold it any longer. "Okay," she says, her voice low and secretive. "But don't say I told you this." You nod, urging her to continue. "About 20 years ago," she begins, glancing nervously over her shoulder as if to make sure no one is listening. The first one went missing. A girl named Lisa. She was just a teenager, 16, and she was last seen walking home from school. Her parents never saw her again. And then it happened again and again. Each one was different. But they all had one thing in common. No one saw a thing. The police could never find any clues. No bodies, no signs of struggle, nothing. The hairs on the back of your neck prickle as you absorb her words. Lisa was the first, but not the last. You've heard rumors about other disappearances, men, women, even children, yet the stories always seem to fade into the background, dismissed as urban legends by the outside world. But you know there's something more to it. You can feel it. "Who was the last person to disappear?" you ask, your voice barely audible. As though speaking too loudly might make the air in the room shatter, June pauses, her fingers twitching nervously. She looks away, as if debating whether she should continue. Finally, she speaks. That would be Noah. He was a young guy just starting out in life. He was doing some odd jobs for people in town. And then, one day, he was gone. Just like that. No one ever saw him leave. No one heard anything. It was like he just vanished into thin air. You thank her for the information. But you don't leave. Not yet. You feel an overwhelming urge to stay, to look deeper, and to understand why Willow Creek is so cursed. You know that the answers are buried here, beneath the layers of dust, behind the hidden glances of its residents, in the secrets they refuse to share. And you're not leaving until you uncover the truth. The air feels thicker as you step out of the diner, each breath heavier than the last. June's words echo in your mind as you walk back to your car, parked under the shade of an old oak tree. The small town of Willow Creek seems to watch you, every corner, every shadow, as if it's keeping secrets just beyond your reach. You know you've only scratched the surface. But something inside tells you that June's story is just the beginning of something much darker. You sit in your car, the engine running, taking a few moments to gather your thoughts. Where should you go next? The local library seems like the most logical choice. If anyone has information about the missing people, it's the librarian, a person who has likely watched this town change or remain frozen in time for decades. You make your way to the Willow Creek Public Library, a small, squat building that looks as if it was built in the 1950s. It's quiet here, too. The kind of quiet that feels unnatural, like the town is holding its breath. The door creaks as you enter, and the smell of old paper and dust fills your nostrils. You glance around and spot an elderly woman sitting behind the front desk. Her name is Doris, and she doesn't seem surprised to see you. You're the one asking about the disappearances, Doris says, her voice low and gravelly. I've seen people come and go, trying to solve that puzzle. No one ever gets far. You nod, pulling up a chair across from her. I'm not leaving until I get answers. There's something about this town, something I can't shake. Doris eyes you carefully, her lips pressed into a thin line. After a long pause, she leans forward and opens a drawer in the desk. She pulls out a worn leather-bound journal, its pages yellowed with age, and hands it to you. This is all we've got left. The missing person files. The town doesn't want to talk about it, but the records don't lie. You flip through the pages, reading the names and dates of people who vanished some decades ago, some more recent, Lisa, Noah, and others. The details are sparse, but there are patterns. Each person disappeared without a trace, and each investigation ended with dead end. The police reports mention searches, interviews with locals, and, of course, the usual theories: runaways, accidents, even drug overdoses, but nothing substantial ever came up. You spend hours poring over the records, trying to piece together a timeline, but you can feel the frustration building. There's a thread running through the cases, something connecting them all, but it's just out of reach. Doris watches you from across the room, her face unreadable. You're looking for a link, aren't you? She asks, as if reading your mind. Everyone who goes looking finds one. It's not the sort of thing you'll find in these books, though it's in the stories, the ones that no one talks about. You ask her to elaborate, but she falls silent. The tension in the room grows, the air thick with unspoken truths. Doris has knowledge, there's no doubt about that, but she's reluctant to share it. You know you'll need to dig deeper, speak with more people, if you want to get anywhere. Your mind races with possibilities. Why does Willow Creek's past seem so desperate to remain buried? Who is protecting these secrets? And more importantly, why, that evening, you take a walk around town, retracing the steps of the people who disappeared. The streets are eerily quiet. save for the occasional rustle of leaves in the breeze. You pass by the old town hall, a crumbling building that seems to have been abandoned long ago. It's easy to imagine what it must have been like in its prime town meetings, celebrations, events that shaped the community. But now, it feels forgotten. The silence feels oppressive, as though the town itself is waiting for you to uncover its hidden truths. You stand there for a moment, staring up at the town hall, and a thought crosses your mind. Could the answer lie in the town's history? Could someone within these walls be hiding something crucial? Perhaps it's not just the residents who are keeping secrets, but the very foundation of Willow Creek itself. Your thoughts are interrupted when you hear footsteps approaching from behind. You turn quickly, but it's just a young man, slightly out of breath, wearing a dirty work shirt, walking toward you. Looking for something, he asks, his voice low. You shake your head, unsure of what to say. There's something about him, a quiet intensity in his eyes that makes you feel as though he's seen more than he's willing to let on. I'm just trying to understand, you reply, the words feeling heavier than they should. He nods slowly, his gaze lingering on you for a moment longer than necessary. You won't find what you're looking for. Not here. Not in Willow Creek. Before you can ask him what he means, he turns and walks away, disappearing into the shadows. His words hang in the air, lingering like a warning. But you can't shake the feeling that he knows more than he's letting on. Later that night, you return to your motel room, exhausted but determined. You sit on the bed, the journal Doris gave you spread out in front of you. The missing people, their stories are all interconnected in some way, but you can't quite place the connection yet. Each case feels like a puzzle piece, but the picture is still blurry. The question that nags at you is this: why hasn't anyone in the town talked about these disappearances? Why is everyone so intent on keeping the past buried? As you stare at the journal, a thought strikes you. Maybe the answers don't lie in the records or the town's history. Maybe they lie in the people themselves. You close the journal, a sense of resolve settling over you. Tomorrow, you'll talk to more people. You'll dig deeper, follow new leads, and you won't stop until you get the truth. The darkness outside your window seems to press in closer, as if the town is waiting for you to uncover the secrets it's held for so long. But you're ready now. You won't back down. The following morning breaks with a dull gray sky, the kind of overcast that seems to stretch endlessly. The air is thick with humidity, the promise of rain hanging heavy as you step outside the motel. Willow Creek feels even quieter today, as though the town is bracing itself for something, or perhaps hoping you'll leave. But you've made up your mind. You're not leaving until the mystery is solved, and you know that the town itself holds the key to unlocking the truth. You return to the diner, hoping to find June again. She might know more than she let on the day before, and you need more information. The bell above the door jingles as you enter, and June looks up from behind the counter. her tired eyes barely acknowledging your presence. "Back for more?" she asks. A slight edge to her voice. You nod, leaning against the counter. "I need to know more about the people who disappeared. You said there were rumors, stories that people don't talk about. I need to hear them." Her expression falters for just a second, and you catch it, something flickering behind her eyes. She's scared. That much is obvious. But she's also conflicted. Maybe. Just maybe. You're getting closer to something she's tried to keep buried. June sighs, wiping her hands on the rag once again. There's always been talk. Always. But people here, they won't say a word. Not to outsiders. Not to anyone who isn't from here. And especially not to you. She leans in, her voice dropping to a whisper. "But maybe I'll tell you. Maybe you deserve to know." You listen intently as June begins to recount the whispers that have followed the town for as long as anyone can remember. There's a sense of dread in her voice, as though the weight of these secrets has taken its toll on her. The more she speaks, the more it becomes clear Willow Creek is not just a quiet town. It's a place where every corner hides a shadow. Every smile hides a lie. The disappearances, they're not random, June says, glancing around the diner as if checking for prying eyes. There's a pattern. People come here outsiders, mostly, and they're never seen again. But it's not just the outsiders, the people who get too close to the truth. They disappear too. No one knows why. Some say it's the town. Others say it's something else. But there's one thing I know for sure, whoever it is. They don't want anyone digging around. They've got a way of making sure you stay quiet. You ask her who they are. But June falls silent, her face tightening with fear. It's clear she knows more, but she's not ready to share it. Instead, she stands up abruptly, signaling the end of the conversation. "I can't talk about this anymore," she says, her voice shaking. "I've already said too much. You should leave while you still can, but you don't leave. You can't. You feel like you're on the edge of something, and you're not about to turn back now. You thank June for what little she's shared, then step out into the street, your mind racing. Something's off about Willow Creek, something that goes beyond the disappearances. June's fear wasn't just about the missing people. It was about the town itself. Something about the way the residents behave, the way they avoid looking you in the eye, the way they speak in hushed tones when they think no one's listening. It's as if they're all part of something bigger, something darker. You decide to visit the local tavern next. If there's anywhere you're going to hear the truth, it'll be here. People let their guard down when they've had a drink. You walk in, and the atmosphere is thick with the smell of alcohol and stale beer. A few patrons sit at the bar, nursing their drinks in silence, their faces etched with exhaustion. Behind the counter is Bill, the bartender. He's a tall, broad man with a thick mustache and a hard expression. When you approach, he doesn't smile. In fact, He barely acknowledges you. "What can I get you?" He grunts, his voice gruff. You ask for a beer. And as Bill pours it, you ask him about the disappearances. At first, he ignores you, keeping his focus on the glass. But after a few more questions, he finally speaks. "Why do you want to know about that? No one talks about it for a reason. It's better if you don't dig." Trust me, you press him further. And after a long pause, he lowers his voice. "Look, I don't know what you're hoping to find, but you're gonna regret it. People here don't want things to change. There's an understanding. Keep your head down. Mind your business, and everything will be fine. But the moment you start asking questions, that's when the trouble starts." You can see the fear in his eyes now. He's not just speaking out of caution, he's afraid. But what is he afraid of? Before you can ask any more questions, a group of locals walk in, and Bill seems to retreat into his usual demeanor. The conversation abruptly ends, and you're left with more questions than answers. As you leave the tavern, you realize that something is happening in Willow Creek, something that has its roots in the past, buried deep in the town's history. But what is it? What is this understanding that Bill referred to? And why is it so dangerous to ask questions? You know one thing for sure. The more you learn, the deeper you're getting into something you may not be able to get out of. The sun begins to set, casting long shadows over the town. You feel the weight of it all, the heaviness of the mystery surrounding you. Every step you take seems to lead you deeper into a place you're not sure you want to go. But you've come too far to stop now. The truth is out there, and you're determined to find it. The days seem to blur together now. Each step you take, each conversation you have, only pulls you deeper into the web of Willow Creek's dark past. The quiet town that once felt like a haven now feels like a cage, the walls closing in as the truth slips further out of your grasp. You can't shake the feeling that everyone knows more than they're letting on, and that someone, somewhere, is watching your every move. By now, you've spoken to several locals, each one more tight-lipped than the last. Bill at the tavern, June at the diner, they all share one thing in common: fear. Fear of the past. Fear of what happens when the town's secrets come to light. It's as though something unspeakable lurks just beneath the surface of Willow Creek. And every person you speak to is merely a small part of the greater puzzle. You decide it's time to dig into the town's history. If there's something everyone is afraid of, it must be rooted in the past, somewhere maybe even before the disappearances began. The town hall, despite its crumbling facade, could hold the key. You've already noticed that it seems to be at the center of everything. It's eerie. Neglected presence stands as a silent monument to something dark. On a quiet afternoon, you make your way to the town hall. The building feels even more foreboding in the daylight. The paint peeling off the walls, the windows clouded with grime. It stands alone, as if abandoned, the only sign of life being the faint hum of old fluorescent lights inside. You push open the heavy door, the hinges creaking in protest. Inside, the air smells stale, the scent of dust and old wood filling your nostrils. The town hall appears to have been frozen in time. A few old filing cabinets stand against the walls, and a wooden desk sits in the center of the room, covered in piles of yellowed papers and forgotten records. But it's the old map on the wall that catches your eye. It's a large, detailed map of Willow Creek from decades ago, with several locations marked with red pins. There's a cluster near the outskirts of town, an area you haven't visited yet. You approach the map, your heart racing as you study it. The pins are scattered in odd patterns, but they seem to form a rough trail leading to the forest beyond the town. The same forest that has always been a source of rumors. The place where people are warned never to venture too far. As you study the map, a soft voice interrupts your thoughts. Not many people come in here anymore. A woman says from the doorway. You turn to see a tall, thin woman with glasses, her face pale and drawn. Her name is Helen, and she's the town clerk. You've seen her before, though you don't know much about her. She looks you over, her eyes narrow. "What are you looking for?" she asks, her voice quiet but sharp, as if she already knows. You hesitate for a moment, but then you decide to be honest. "I'm looking for answers. About the disappearances, about what happened to all those people, and about this map. What's in the forest?" Helen's expression hardens, and you can almost feel the temperature in the room drop. She steps closer, her gaze flicking between you and the map. "You don't want to go there," she says, her tone low, almost pleading. "That place is better left untouched. The people who disappear, they're not just missing. They're taken." You feel a shiver run down your spine. Taken by whom? Helen seems to struggle with her words, as if weighing whether or not she should say more. After a moment of silence, she speaks again, her voice barely above a whisper. "Years ago, before the disappearances started, there were whispers about something happening in the forest. The kind of thing you only hear in hushed tones, if you're lucky enough to be around when someone lets their guard down." She glances at the door, checking that no one else is listening. There were people who would go out there, people who knew something about the land, about the rituals. You try to process what she's saying. Rituals. Is this what everyone's been avoiding? Something supernatural? Some cult or group operating in the shadows? Helen notices the confusion on your face and shakes her head. "No. It's not like that. It's not supernatural. It's just a part of this town's history. Something people would rather forget. But those who forget, well, they're the ones who get taken." You press her for more details, but she shakes her head again. "I've said enough," she says, her voice hardening. "You're not going to find what you're looking for in here." Before you can ask anything else, she turns and walks briskly out of the room, leaving you standing there, alone with the map. The words she left behind echo in your mind. Taken. By whom? And what does it have to do with the forest? The answers you've been searching for are slipping through your fingers, always just out of reach. But you can feel it now the closer you get to the truth. The more dangerous it becomes. Someone doesn't want you to find out what happened in Willow Creek, but you can't stop now. You've come too far to turn back. You leave the town hall, your mind racing. The map, the forest, the rituals. You have to see it for yourself. The forest is calling to you, its dark secrets begging to be uncovered. You don't know what you'll find when you get there, but you know one thing for sure. You can't stop until you do. As you step into your car and start the engine, the town seems to close in around you. The air feels heavier, suffocating. Every corner, every street lamp, every person you pass feels like part of the town's secret, as if the entire place is conspiring to keep you in the dark. But you're done being kept in the dark. The forest is waiting. The forest beyond Willow Creek looms like a shadow, its dark outline stretching across the horizon, inviting and terrifying all at once. It's a place that the locals avoid, a place wrapped in superstition and fear. As you drive towards the edge of town, the buildings and streets slowly fade away, replaced by dense trees that crowd the road, their branches forming an almost impenetrable canopy above. The further you go, the more oppressive the atmosphere becomes. The air feels thick, as though it's been suffused with a history of secrets too dark to bear. You park your car near the forest's edge, the tires crunching against the gravel. There's no official trail, no sign to guide you in just a narrow dirt path, barely wide enough for one person to walk through. You take a deep breath, trying to steady your nerves. Everything inside you screams to turn back, but you push it down. The truth is out there, hidden in this labyrinth of trees, and you won't stop until you find it. The deeper you venture into the forest, the more unsettling it becomes. The quiet is suffocating, broken only by the occasional rustling of leaves or the distant call of birds. You feel like you're being watched, as if the trees themselves are judging you for daring to uncover their secrets. Every step you take feels heavier, as if the earth is resisting your presence. After what seems like hours, you reach a clearing, and at the center, a large stone structure stands out of place, almost ancient, weathered by time and neglect. It's not a building, but a series of stone pillars arranged in a circle, their surfaces cracked and worn from centuries of exposure. A chill runs down your spine as you approach, your footsteps echoing in the stillness of the clearing. This isn't just any ruin. It's something older, something forgotten. You can feel its weight, an ominous energy that seems to pulse from the stones themselves. As you step closer to the center, you notice something strange, scattered across the ground, half buried in the dirt. Are objects, old trinkets, broken pieces of jewelry, and bits of clothing. They don't belong here, at least not in the way they've been discarded. It's as though someone or something has left them behind, as though they were part of some ritual. A sound interrupts your thoughts. You turn sharply, your heart racing. But there's no one there, only the wind, which has suddenly picked up, rustling through the trees with a low, mournful whisper. You strain your ears, listening carefully. There's a faint sound now, like footsteps, but too light to be human. You look around the clearing, but it's empty. You walk over to one of the stone pillars, placing your hand on its surface. The stone is cold, but there's an undeniable warmth emanating from beneath, as though something is alive inside it. A shiver runs through you, and you quickly step back. Your mind races. Could this place be tied to the disappearances, the idea of rituals, of some kind of ancient ceremony? Seems far-fetched, but the evidence is undeniable. The objects scattered around the ground, these aren't just random items. They're personal, intimate, as if they belong to someone who never returned to claim them. Suddenly, you hear a voice. It's faint, but unmistakable. You shouldn't be here. You turn, your pulse spiking. Standing at the edge of the clearing is the same young man from the tavern, the one who seemed to know more than he let on. His face is shadowed, his expression unreadable. He's watching you, not with anger, but with something far worse, concern, mixed with fear. What do you mean, you ask? Your voice, barely a whisper. I told you not to come, he replies, his voice strained. This place, it's not like it seems. You need to leave before it's too late. Why? What is this place? You step closer to him, but he doesn't move. His eyes dart nervously to the stone pillars. This is where it started, he says, his words trembling. The disappearances. They didn't just happen by accident. It's tied to this place, to the forest, and to the people of Willow Creek. You stare at him, trying to piece together what he's saying. What do you mean, who's behind it? What's happening here? He shakes his head, his hands clenched into fists at his sides. I can't tell you everything, but you need to understand you're not the first to come looking for answers. They've been watching you since you arrived, and now that you're here, you're not going to leave without consequences. Your stomach twists at his words. He's not just talking about the disappearances anymore. There's something much larger at play, something that has been going on for years, perhaps even generations. You're in danger, he continues, his voice low and urgent. They won't stop until they've silenced you. You need to go back. Now, you hesitate, the weight of his words sinking in. But you know you can't turn back. Not now. You came here for the truth, and you won't leave until you've uncovered it. I'm not leaving, you say, your voice steady. I need to know what happened. I need to know the truth. The young man looks at you for a long moment, his face a mixture of pity and fear. Then, with a resigned sigh, he steps back into the shadows, his figure blending into the forest. You've made your choice, he says quietly. But remember this. There are things in this town that you'll never be able to unsee. Things that will follow you, even when you leave. You watch him disappear into the trees, his warning hanging in the air like a ghost. For a moment, you stand there, paralyzed by his words. But then, you snap out of it, your resolve hardening. You came here for answers, and you'll get them no matter the cost. With a final glance at the stone pillars, you turn and head back toward the path that leads out of the forest. Your steps are steady, but your mind is racing. The forest has revealed a small part of its secrets, but you know there's much more to uncover. The truth is closer now, but it feels more dangerous than ever. As you walk, you can't shake the feeling that the forest is watching you, that the trees themselves are alive with secrets you'll never fully understand. And no matter where you go, you'll carry the shadow of Willow Creek with you, its past, its people, and its dark, unrelenting grip. The days blur into each other, your time in Willow Creek consumed by the search for answers. Every lead you follow seems to lead you deeper into a web of secrets that the town is desperate to keep hidden. The more you learn, the more you realize that the disappearances are not isolated events, nor are they the result of bad luck. Something much darker is at work here, something rooted in the very fabric of Willow Creek itself. After your encounter in the forest, the weight of the truth is almost unbearable. The young man's warning. Things that will follow you, even when you leave echoes in your mind, and you can't shake the feeling that you're being watched. The forest, the stone pillars, the strange objects left behind, it all points to something ancient. Something that's been part of this town for far longer than anyone is willing to admit. But you can't stop now. You've come too far, and you won't let fear turn you away. You return to the town the next day, but the air is different now. It's thick with tension, like a storm is brewing just beneath the surface. The streets, once eerily quiet, now seem to hum with a nervous energy. People keep their heads down, avoiding eye contact, and the few who do meet your gaze look away quickly, as if they're afraid of what you might see in their eyes. You head straight for the diner, hoping to find June. You need more information, and you're running out of time. But when you walk inside, you find her absent. The place is nearly empty, with only a few people sitting in the booths, murmuring quietly to one another. You approach the counter, where a new waitress stands, a younger woman with wide, fearful eyes. "Where is June?" you ask, keeping your voice low. The waitress hesitates, then glances around nervously before speaking. "She's not coming in today," she says, her voice barely audible. "She left town last night." You frown, confused. "Left town? She didn't mention anything." The waitress shakes her head. "She didn't tell anyone. She just left. Didn't even say goodbye." The air around you feels colder, the silence heavier. June's sudden departure doesn't sit right with you. You've been trying to piece together the puzzle, but now it seems like someone is trying to erase the very people who might have answers. Is this the result of your investigation? Has the town, whoever is behind these disappearances, decided that it's time to silence you? You try to gather your thoughts, but the unease in the diner is palpable. You ask the waitress if she knows anything else, but she just shakes her head, avoiding your gaze. As you leave the diner, your stomach churns. You have no proof, but it's becoming clear that your presence in Willow Creek is unsettling people, and that's exactly what you've been afraid of. The more you uncover, the more people begin to vanish, or worse, retreat into silence. Your next stop is the local sheriff's office. You've been hesitant to involve the authorities, knowing full well that they may be just as complicit as the rest of the town. But now, with June gone and the pieces starting to come together, you feel like you have no other choice. As you walk up to the sheriff's office, a sense of dread washes over you. The building is small, nondescript, just like everything else in Willow Creek. But something about it feels off, as if the walls are closing in on you, hiding something you're not meant to see. Inside, you find Sheriff Martin sitting behind his desk, flipping through a stack of papers. He looks up when you enter, his eyes narrowing slightly. Back again. "Huh," he says, his voice rough. "I told you last time. We don't have any new leads. The case is closed. I suggest you move on." You refuse to back down. "I need to know more about the disappearances. There's a pattern, and I'm not going to stop until I uncover it." Sheriff Martin leans back in his chair, his eyes hardening. "You don't know what you're dealing with here. There are things in this town that..." His words are cut off by a knock on the door. Before you can react, the door swings open, and a man enters, interrupting the conversation. He's tall, wearing a suit that looks far too formal for this small town, and his face is one you've never seen before. "Sheriff," the man says, his voice smooth. But there's an underlying tension to it. "I need to speak with you. It's urgent." Sheriff Martin's expression shifts, and for a brief moment, you see something in his eyes, a flash of fear, maybe even recognition. He stands up, gesturing for the man to come in. You remain standing, your curiosity piqued. Who is this man, and why is he here? His presence only adds to the sense of unease that's been growing in your chest. The sheriff walks toward the door, then turns back to you. "I'm going to have to ask you to leave," he says, his voice cold. "This conversation is over." You stare at him, but there's nothing more to say. It's clear that Sheriff Martin isn't going to help you. The man in the suit and the sheriff exchange a few words, their conversation too low for you to hear, but you can sense the urgency in their voices. There's something happening here, something bigger than just a few missing people. You leave the sheriff's office, your mind spinning. The man in the suit. The way the sheriff reacted, this is no ordinary investigation. You've crossed a line. And now, the stakes are higher than ever. As you walk down the street, your phone buzzes in your pocket. You pull it out, expecting a message from someone in town. But what you see on the screen stops you cold. It's a text from an unknown number. Stay out of this, or you'll end up like the others. Your blood runs cold as the message sinks in. The warning is clear, and the threats are no longer veiled. You've stepped into something much more dangerous than you ever anticipated. The tension in Willow Creek has reached its breaking point. You're no longer just investigating a few disappearances. You're in the middle of something far more sinister. And now, the town is watching you. Every move you make, every step you take. It feels like someone is lurking just out of sight, waiting for the right moment to strike. You know one thing for sure, you can't stop now. You've come too far. But as you head back to your motel, the weight of the warning pressing down on you, a sense of dread fills the pit of your stomach. The stakes are higher now, and the danger closer. The truth is just within reach. But at what cost? The tension in Willow Creek is unbearable. Every step you take feels like you're walking deeper into a trap that's been set long before you ever arrived. The warning text from the unknown number lingers in your mind. The message, clear and chilling. Stay out of this, or you'll end up like the others. But you can't back down. Not now. You've come too far to turn back. The truth is right in front of you, and it's only a matter of time before you uncover the final pieces of this twisted puzzle. You spend the next few hours stewing over your next move. The sheriff and the mysterious man in the suit are part of the puzzle. You're sure of it. You've been ignored, threatened, and watched every step of the way. But you know that someone in this town knows exactly what happened to the missing people. They know what's been happening for years, and they're doing everything they can to keep the town's darkest secrets hidden. As you sit in your motel room, staring at the half-eaten meal in front of you, a thought occurs to you. You've been looking in all the wrong places. The forest, the diner, the sheriff's office, those were all distractions. The answers aren't hidden out there. They're closer. The key to understanding everything is right under your nose. The answer lies with the people who've been watching you. The people who've tried to warn you. The ones who are trying to make you leave before you get too close. The people who've been here long enough to know the truth, but won't speak it. You decide to confront the sheriff again. But this time, you're not going to be polite. You've seen enough to know that there's something larger at play, and you're done being treated like an outsider. You make your way back to the sheriff's office, determination setting your jaw. This time, you're not walking out empty-handed. When you enter, the sheriff is sitting at his desk, his face as hard and impassive as ever. The man in the suit is nowhere in sight, and the office is quiet. Almost too quiet. Sheriff Martin looks up when you enter, his eyes narrowing in recognition. His hand rests casually on the edge of his desk, fingers tapping in rhythm, almost like he's waiting for something. "You again," he says flatly, his voice devoid of emotion. "I thought I told you to leave this alone. You don't back down. I'm not leaving until I get some answers. The people who've disappeared, they're not just missing, are they? Something's been happening here for years, and I'm going to find out what." Sheriff Martin doesn't react immediately. He doesn't seem surprised or angry. He just sits there, staring at you for a long moment, as if weighing his options. Then he stands up slowly, his movements deliberate. "You should have listened," he says, his voice low. "Some things are better left unknown before you can respond." The door to the sheriff's office opens, and the man in the suit steps in. His expression is cold, calculating, and you feel a chill run down your spine. He's not here for small talk. This is it. You've pushed them too far, and now you're going to pay the price. "Sheriff," the man in the suit says, his voice smooth but laced with authority, "we need to deal with this situation now." You feel a wave of unease wash over you as the man locks eyes with you. His gaze is calculating, almost predatory, and the air in the room seems to thicken. This isn't just a simple confrontation anymore. This is a warning. The sheriff doesn't speak at first, but his eyes shift between you and the man, a tension in the air. Then, with a sigh, he looks at you with an unreadable expression. "You've dug too deep," he says. "There's no way out of this now. You don't understand the forces at play here. You don't know who you're dealing with. You try to stand your ground, but there's a nagging feeling in your chest. Something's not right. The pieces are all starting to fall into place, and the truth is darker than you ever imagined. The disappearances, the warnings, the strange behavior of the townspeople, it's all connected. And you're at the center of it." The man in the suit steps closer, his shadow falling over you like a cloud. "You've been looking for answers, but the truth you're seeking isn't something you want to know. It's not something anyone should know." You stand up straighter, determined not to back down now. "I'll be the judge of that. Tell me the truth. What happened to all those people? What's going on here?" The man in the suit glances at the sheriff, who nods slowly, as if giving him permission to speak. Then, the man turns back to you, his expression colder than ever. "The truth. You want the truth, fine. But understand this once you hear it. There's no going back. You won't be able to unsee what you've learned." He pauses for a moment, and when he speaks again, his voice is almost a whisper. "The disappearances, the strange behavior of the town, it's all connected to the land. This town, Willow Creek, was built on something ancient, something dark. A pact was made long ago, and it has been passed down through generations. Every time the town begins to stray too far from the deal, someone has to pay the price." Your mind spins as the words sink in. A pact, a deal, the pieces are starting to fall into place. But the weight of the truth is almost too much to bear. The people who disappear, they're taken. They're chosen. But they're never allowed to leave. They become part of the town's history, part of the land itself. The man continues. It's a cycle that never ends. Every time someone unearths the truth, the cycle begins again. You feel a cold sweat break out across your skin. The man's words hang heavy in the room, and your mind reels. This isn't just about missing people. It's about something much more insidious, something woven into the fabric of the town, something you can't escape. The sheriff speaks up, his voice tense. It's done. There's nothing more to be said, but you can't accept that. How many more? How many more people will disappear before someone finally stops this? The man in the suit looks at you with a mixture of pity and resolve. There's no stopping it. This is Willow Creek's curse. And now, it's yours too. The words hit you like a punch to the gut. And in that moment, everything becomes clear. You're trapped in this town, just like the others who have come before you. The truth you sought has come at a steep price, and there's no way out. As the door swings shut behind you, you realize that the town's darkest secret has just claimed another victim. You walk out of the sheriff's office, your mind racing. The cold words of the man in the suit hang in the air, their weight pressing down on you with each step. This is Willow Creek's curse, and now it's yours too. The truth you've uncovered has shattered everything you thought you knew, and yet you still don't understand it fully. The people who have disappeared, how many of them were taken by this ancient pact? How many were sacrificed, knowingly or unknowingly, to maintain the twisted cycle that has gripped this town for generations? The air feels different now, suffocating and charged, as if the very town itself is closing in on you, watching, waiting. You feel the eyes of the town on you, even when no one is around. The people you've spoken to, the ones who have given you cryptic answers or refused to speak at all, are they part of this dark pact? Or are they victims too? You've dug deep enough to see the surface of a truth far more insidious than you ever imagined. But there are still too many questions left unanswered as you walk through the empty streets of Willow Creek. The shadows stretch long in the setting sun. The quiet has turned from peaceful to oppressive, and every corner feels like it holds another secret. You feel as if you're being pulled towards something somewhere by a force you can't explain. Maybe it's the pull of the curse that's claimed you, or maybe it's your own desire to understand the truth, no matter how terrifying it may be. Your footsteps take you toward the forest again, toward the stone pillars in the clearing. You've seen them, felt them, but there's still more to uncover. The sheriff and the man in the suit were right about one thing you can't stop now. You can't unsee what you've learned. The truth is here, buried beneath layers of silence. But you still don't know the whole story. When you reach the forest's edge, you stand there for a long moment, contemplating what to do next. The warning echoes in your mind. You won't be able to unsee what you've learned. But you don't feel fear, not anymore. Instead, you feel a sense of determination, a need to see this through. Even if the answers lead you into the heart of darkness, you push through the underbrush, making your way back to the clearing, the place where it all began. As you approach the stone pillars, you feel the air grow colder, the silence heavier. The remnants of forgotten rituals lie scattered across the ground, pieces of jewelry, torn clothing, items that speak of lives lost, of people who were never meant to leave this place. But this time, you're not just looking for answers. You're looking for a way to end the cycle. You circle the stones, tracing your fingers along their jagged surfaces. The stone feels alive, as though it's been shaped by the hands of time itself. You can almost hear the whispers in the wind, the distant voices of those who came before, and the unrelenting force that has kept Willow Creek trapped in this endless loop of horror. The sensation is overwhelming, suffocating, as though the past is pressing in from all sides, refusing to be ignored any longer. There's a shift in the air, a subtle change that makes the hairs on the back of your neck stand on end. You feel it before you see it, the unmistakable sound of footsteps behind you. You turn quickly, but no one is there. The wind picks up, the leaves rustling around you in a soft, eerie whisper. The feeling that you're not alone here is suffocating, and you realize that no matter how much you uncover, you're still an outsider, still someone who doesn't truly belong in this town or in its twisted history. But you can't stop now. You've come this far, and you need to know the truth. Your eyes scan the area once more, lingering on the objects scattered on the ground. And that's when you see it, a small, faded photograph half buried in the dirt. It's an old picture, the edges worn and yellowed with age. You bend down to pick it up, and as you do, a cold breeze brushes against your skin. The photograph is of a family, a man, woman, and child, standing in front of what looks like an old farmhouse, their smiles wide and genuine. But there's something strange about it. The man's face is smudged, blurred almost as if someone or something has deliberately erased it. The child's face is clear, but her eyes, they seem to stare back at you with a knowing sadness, a depth of understanding that feels all too familiar. You flip the photo over, and scrawled on the back in faded ink is a name: the Langley family. The name hits you like a punch to the stomach. You know that name. You've heard it before in whispers, rumors of a family that disappeared long before the recent string of missing people. They were part of the town's past, part of the cycle that keeps repeating itself. The Langley family, one more piece of the puzzle, one more link in the chain that binds Willow Creek to its dark past. But why were they erased from history? Why was their memory hidden? Their faces blurred, their names forgotten. You feel a knot form in your stomach as you realize that the Langley family might hold the answers you've been searching for all along. You stand in the clearing, the photograph clutched tightly in your hand. The silence feels heavier now, as if the forest itself is waiting for you to make your next move. The pieces of the puzzle are all around you, but you still don't know how they fit together. And with every moment that passes, you feel the curse tightening its grip on you, pulling you further into its grasp. You know one thing for sure: the answers you seek are buried here, in the land, in the forgotten history of Willow Creek. The question is, are you ready to face them? The photograph trembles slightly in your hand, the faces of the Langley family staring back at you. the mystery of their disappearance hanging in the air like an unanswered prayer. And then, just as the last light of the sun fades behind the trees, you hear it, the softest whisper, carried by the wind. It's a voice, familiar and distant at the same time, calling your name. You turn, but no one is there. The town has already claimed you. The story will never end. The town of Willow Creek holds its secrets tight, refusing to let anyone leave with the truth. You've come so close, but now, as the shadows lengthen and the whispers fade, you realize that the full story may never be known. The Langley family's fate is still a mystery, and the cycle of disappearances seems destined to continue. You've uncovered enough to know that something dark and ancient lurks beneath the surface, something that no one in Willow Creek wants to acknowledge, let alone confront. You may have found the truth, but in doing so, you've become part of it. And now, there's no going back. The town will keep its secrets, and you, forever marked by what you've learned, will carry the burden with you.